West Asia Theater of Operations or Afghanistan, Uzbekistan, Syria, or Djibouti and suffer from any respiratory illnesses that you believe is a result of exposure to burn pits, contact the Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission at 937-225-4801.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The patented key ingredient is something called Testofen, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text KETTLE to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text KETTLE to 321-321. That's KETTLE to 321-321.
All right, happy Monday, everybody. Welcome in. It's the Kinner Kev Show live here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. I'm Justin Kinner. He's Kev Nash. Mr. Kev Nash, welcome.
What up, though?
I'm losing my voice.
Yeah, you are.
I was losing it yesterday, but we got through it. We'll have to get through it again here today.
You drink some tea?
I drank some. I drank a lot of tea yesterday at the Hollywood Gaming.
Shouts out to Hollywood Gaming. We had a great time out there yesterday with the bracket reveal party with us.
Yeah, we did it at the Sports Book, and the Sports Book is their new sports bar that they opened up at Hollywood Gaming. In fact, we have a great partnership with them for the year. Had a blast, and there's going to be many more appearances out there. And just shout out to everyone at Hollywood Gaming and the Sports Book. They reopened it, so they redid the kitchen and some other stuff. So they just opened up yesterday. They let us sample literally all their alcoholic beverages.
Yeah.
All their fried food. You know, Kev and I tried this dieting thing.
Yeah.
He was way stronger than me. I sat, Shaw came out. I actually stayed after with Shaw. I'm just chowing down on fried pickles. I'm chowing down on mozzarella sticks, the nachos, the taco salad, which was a taco in a bag by the walking tacos. You got the chicken Caesar salad.
Yes, chicken Caesar salad.
Their drink specials are amazing. Their food's amazing. So again, check out the Sports Book, the sports bar that is out at Hollywood Gaming. Appreciate them having us out there for our bracket reveal special yesterday. Selection Sunday was a success. And I know Flyer fans, for a brief moment, you could all act. I've talked to a lot of Flyer fans today. They all said we weren't scared. We had no doubt. We knew we were in. No, we were during the selection show yesterday. It was to the point where I was having to talk people off the ledge. I was like, they're not going to be left out, guys. Stop. People got real nervous about the old Dayton Flyers yesterday.
Absolutely, because the thing about it was we're going through the brackets. We go to the East, and we go to the South, and we go to the Midwest, and then we finally get to the West. And the thing about it was that was dead last, and they weren't revealed until the last part of the bracket. So as we're going through it, we're thinking like, okay, they're going to be in one of these 8-9 games. Okay. They'll be in the 8-9 game that's going to be played in Pittsburgh. They're going to be in the 8-9 game that's played in Indianapolis. And then we're getting down to the nitty gritty where, like, wait a minute, where are they? Because that 8-9 matchup just went off the board. Are they a 7? Are they a 10? Because if they're not a 7 or a 10, they're not going to be a 2 or a 15. So it was down to that 7-10 matchup, and ultimately UD came up as a 7 seed.
They came up as a 7 seed, and I'm here to tell you right now, and I mean this not non-trolling, they're very fortunate to be a 7 seed. That's like so. This is what's wild. So I noticed a lot of people complaining about the seeding yesterday throughout the tournament. Big East fans upset about where Dayton is seated. And by the way, every complaint about Big East fans arguing about Dayton is valid. if Dayton was in the Big East and some team from the A10 got a better seed than them while they played tougher opponents in the Big East every single night while you played nobody and lost to those nobodies, you would be upset too. I think all the arguments on the Big East side is valid, but this is what we've been talking about for quite some time, that parity across college basketball. It made it so difficult to seed this tournament because it used to be a 10-7. It's easy to pick the 7 over the 10. It's not anymore. The gap between a 7 and a 10, it's non-existent. I don't even think the gap between, I mean, you look at the 12 and the 5s, there's a gap between 12 and 5s, but it's not what it once was. Like, I mean, everyone always picks the 12-5 upset. Well, I think that's easier money. You know, if you go look at what the lines were years ago to what they are now in the 12-5 matchup, I guarantee you it's significantly tighter. I just think that the talent gap in these teams, you're not seeing it as much. Like, I think that, I mean, you know who the top teams are, your Houstons and your UConns and your Kansases and those teams, but it's the middle of the field that I think has shrunk. I think that the talent gap, I think that that's where the parity is starting to level out across the board. Dayton fits in with way more teams across the tournament field now than what they did during the Archie Miller era. A tournament run for Dayton now would not be as much of a Cinderella run. Like when they made that Elite 8 run with the Archie, that was a Cinderella run. Like that was unprecedented. That was not expected. That was just a wild thing. Dayton gets to the Elite 8 now. It's not as unprecedented. Like they're more evenly matched. These teams are more evenly matched than what they were even 10 years ago. So I think that's what made this tournament field so much more difficult to seed or format, if you will. But that's where I'm starting to see the biggest difference in that.
Yeah, I'll be lying if I said, oh man, these teams should be seated higher or lower. For my money, and especially doing a live show yesterday, I was just happy that they made it in because it was so many rumors that were starting to float on social media. You know, Shaw came out and said he didn't think they should make it in based off of their performance down the stretch of the season. But then once I saw teams like Virginia making it, I mean, Virginia was, I believe they were 4-5 in their last couple games. So I was like, well, there's no way. Like Virginia was ranked early in the season and fell out the top 25, and Virginia's in. UD has to be in. UD has been consistently ranked in the top 25 all season. But like, I can't front, like closer and closer we got to the end of the record reveal, I'm like, wait a minute, like they haven't shown them yet. Like, what's the hold up here? But ultimately, like we said, they got in. And my thing about college basketball, and one thing that I would do to fix college basketball, if I was a czar of college basketball, I would make more non-conference matchups. Like, make it mandatory that, okay, fine, we know you're going to play quote unquote cupcakes. We get that. Every team's going to play cupcakes. But like these, the old school Big Ten, ACC challenge, like we need more of those matchups outside of just those challenges and just outside of, you know, your Maui invitationals and things of that nature. We need to see more non-con games because those are, if you're going to have equal teams playing on a neutral court or on somebody else's court, that's a better way to gauge to say if one team is better than the other.
Yep.
When you're a team from the Big 12 and they basically play nobody non-con, they only play people in conference, and then versus Big East teams playing, you know, SEC and Big 10 schools and stuff like that, and some of them are taking their lumps and things of that nature. Well, they challenged themselves and got thumped for challenging themselves, while other conferences refuse to do that and they get propped up. Big East is now in a situation where you can't just quote unquote schedule nothing but cupcakes. I personally still think the Big East is a good basketball conference. I think that them being on CBS Sports Channel, on a channel that I don't even have on my cable subscription, it's hard to find those games. So when they are on regular CBS, that's going to be their marquee time. Granted, that's far and few between because there's a ton of Big Ten matchups that are on in that spot. So I think that the Big East suffer from a lack of viewing from the general public as well.
Yeah, again, and a lot of people, I mean, Big East, the Big East came up strong down the stretch. I mean, the Big East isn't what it once was,
right?
But it's still a really good basketball conference, no doubt. St. John's from a net ranking standpoint, to the quad one wins that they had, to the way that they finished the season, like there's really not an explanation for how they didn't get in and how Virginia got in and how Michigan State got in. Like St. John's, so while people are picking on the UDs and those teams of the world, like I wouldn't be mad at them, although there's justifiable reasons to be mad at a team playing in the A10, playing nobodies while we're beating somebodies, and yet we're left out of the tournament and Dayton gets in, all while losing. You know, Dayton, They only lost to they lost to the top teams in the conference. Well, that just means you can't beat a good team like that. Like, so I get those arguments, but I would be mad at the Virginias. I'd be mad at the Michigan States. Like, those are the teams. If I'm St. John's, I'd be directing my hate at.
100%.
The Big East is they're pointing at the A10 and kind of throwing some shade their way.
I'm 100% with you. 1,000,000% with you. I'm a staunch on the Virginia shouldn't have made it, and I'm skeptical of why Michigan State made it over teams like a St. John's, like a Pitt, like a Indiana State. I understand that Michigan State beat Indiana State in the regular season, but you go watch those two teams play. Who you think you want to watch on TV more? You want to watch Indiana State or you want to watch Michigan State? Because that's what they told us in college football, that, oh, man, Florida State, your quarterback isn't there. You guys aren't going to be entertaining to watch. We'd rather watch those teams. But granted, they come with these metrics and things of that nature, but they had the highest net rating of a team not to make the college basketball tournament. They had a 29 net rating, and they still got left out. Yep. I mean, I don't know what you want them to do.
You talk about St. John's, right?
No, I'm talking about Indiana State.
Indiana State, in the history of the net rankings, they are the only team to ever finish with a net ranking in the 20s and be left out of
that is insane.
Out of the NCAA tournament.
All
because
crazy.
They didn't win their one mid-major conference league. That's a problem. And that's that like the committee. And again, I've always joked, I don't even know what we call. I know for college football, we call it the playoff committee. I don't know what we call the committee for this, but whoever's making these decisions, they've already made it up. They made up their mind already.
Right.
They made up their mind already. You know, you look at St. John's, by the way, they had a Ken Pom ranking of number 25. They had a net ranking of number 32. They had 4 quad 1 wins. You look at Virginia, their net rank or their Ken Pom is at 69. Nice. They're at 69. Their net ranking is at 54. They only have 2 quad 1 wins, but somehow Virginia gets in over St. John's. That doesn't
ridiculous.
That doesn't make any sense. What are we doing? This is why I like college basketball. Even though I don't like their decision making, there's more talking points for basketball to criticize decision making. You know, football is more vague. I feel like the criteria to make the playoff in football is they make it that
intentionally
way.
Vague.
They make it intentionally vague. Basketball tries to not be football and provides you with more metrics and with more, formulas to decipher decision-making. But I think that creates more of a mess because this is a prime example. Virginia has no business being in the NCAA tournament.
At all.
Has no business being in the NCAA tournament. And it doesn't make sense, especially when you got teams like St. John's who should have been in. You get teams like Indiana State who should have been in. I mean, I'm not standing up for Loyola or, Richmond or anything like that. But like those two teams, a conference that you said was strong enough to justify putting Dayton as a 7th seed. The conference was good enough to justify putting them there, but not strong enough to take the 2 winners of the league and put them in the damn tournament. That doesn't make any sense to me. So I have a huge problem. Virginia is my biggest problem being in the tournament as far as that goes. Michigan State's pretty damn close, though. I like Tom Izzo, but Michigan State's pretty damn close as far as that's
absolutely concerned. Those are my 1, 2, without a doubt. I mean, look, Tony Bennett and Virginia, they recently won a national championship. But, this is still like Rick Pitino. If Rick Pitino's name doesn't have any sway in selection committee, if Rick Pitino's name doesn't have any sway or any power, what are we doing here? Removing the coaches from it. Just look at it. Just look at the games and look at how they played down the stretch. I have no idea how Virginia made it into this tournament. You're telling me that they should be able to win the national championship as an at-large. They didn't win the ACC tournament to punch their automatic bid. They didn't win the ACC regular season to say, hey, they did enough during the regular season to justify an automatic bid. I'm not sure what they did this regular season. All I know is they lost a bunch of games.
It's a Kinner and Kev show here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM here on a Monday. Right now, we're talking about all the battles that are going to be happening in March Madness throughout the week. I'm battling my voice right now. I know all of you are rooting for me to lose my voice, so Kev Nash just takes over from here. But I'm battling the voice. We'll see if we can hold on to it. So Forrest jumps in, says selection committee. Yes, selection committee. There you go. That was an easy one as far as that goes. Ron Howard says Virginia living on recent success. And that's the thing too, the propaganda wars. Dayton is as good as any program out there at winning the propaganda war. They are very, very good at winning the perception battle out there, which is why I think they get forgiveness for a lot of their stuff as far as that goes. The 7th, I'm not mad that they're a 7. Everyone's like, oh, you're mad that they're a 7 seed. I'm like, I'm giving them the equal question mark treatment that I'm giving Virginia, that I'm giving Michigan State. I like Michigan State. I don't think that they deserve to be comfortably in the tournament the way that they are. I don't think Dayton should have been comfortably in the tournament. It kind of started making sense as it started going on why their name wasn't popping up sooner. A 7 seed, good for them. But it was a double-edged sword. They got the favorable 7 seed, but they also, because of misseeding teams, Nevada's another team that was improperly seeded out of the Mountain West. They should have been seeded way higher. This reminds me of the last time Dayton was in the tournament 7 years ago when they had to play Wichita State. It made no sense how Wichita State was a 10 seed that year, and it's kind of the same situation here. Nevada is way better than a 10 seed.
That Fred Van Vliet year, right?
But Wichita, was the other guy that looked like baby, Ben Baby is what we look like. The other big guy for him or whatever that Pollard had to deal with down low. But that was a good Wichita State team. This is a good Nevada team. So Dayton, yes, they get the 7 seed, but it's not a favorable 7 versus 10 matchup. Plus, Dayton has to go on the West Coast. Dayton didn't get any favors outside of, for some reason, being given the 7 seed. So,
yeah, I mean, if you look at it, you would rather be a 9 seed, a 8 seed, playing in Pittsburgh or in Indianapolis than the 7 seed all the way out there in Utah. This is a question maybe we can ask Clark Kellogg next year, but like when they do the seeding and the reveal, like how do they do the reveal? Is it based off of the last, the last number 1 seed, the last number 2 seed, the last number 7 seed? Is it based off of that, off the reveal? I'm just curious to know why they reveal it the way that they do.
Yep.
Because I mean, it made for great radio and great TV, especially people that are new doing a live radio show as doing the announcements for the brackets. Is like the tension was definitely there because we're giving the listeners an account of what's happening and what's going on and all the potential landing spots for UD. And as those started to fill up, it's, hey man, it's down to 2 spots. It's going to either be the 8-9 or the 7-10. And when that 8-9 came up, I was nervous. I was like, wait, like, are they going to be out of this thing? Like, are they going to fall from being ranked number 25 in the country to basically, you're out of here?
Especially when they were the 8-9 didn't pop up. 7-8-9 did not pop up in Indianapolis or Pittsburgh or even Memphis.
Yeah,
those were the 3 areas. Like I thought the Dayton would have somehow been seated over in Memphis, would have been seated in obviously Indianapolis or somewhere close by, and that was not the case. They have to go over to Utah as far as that's concerned. But they got Nevada. We're going to talk about that matchup coming up here in just a moment. But a lot of surprises that definitely popped out of that bracket reveal yesterday. Let's see, a lot of comments coming in. Let's see. Let's start with David Shaw says, remember back in the day when conference play didn't start until middle of January, like 8 years ago. Well, that stemmed from, and look, I always say this too. I give as much as I pull for the the David Goliath battle there. I always go for the Davids, if you will, but no offense, no offense, but no pun intended with David Shaw here. But it's good business sense on the high major side to do that. When you're the Big Ten and the SEC, they expanded the amount of conference games that they play. When you play more conference games, you're giving your teams all more quad 1, quad 2 opportunities. Right. When that net rating started, it was, well, let's take away non-conference games and let's give them more conference games. That's giving them better quality opponents, and that's going to prop up the SEC. That's going to prop up the better, conferences. So that's what helps. That hurts programs like Dayton, who now has to play 2 games. What I shouldn't say it hurts them because they choose to play Oakland and choose to play all the teams anyway, the bye games to pad their home schedule. So when they brag about being undefeated at the end of the year, it's like, well, you didn't play anybody at home. So there's that, but they're protecting their home floor. You're able to manipulate your non-con more when you had more non-con games. You lose that manipulation opportunity when you got to play better teams out of your conference, and it makes you more vulnerable that way. So that hurts mid-major conferences, and it helped the high major conferences, expanding the amount of conference games you played.
Remember, what was they used to call it on ESPN? Bracket Busters.
Yeah. I don't remember much about that. That was like years and years ago.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
That was awesome. So for people that's unaware, that will be where, a whole bunch of mid-major to teams would play each other. Like teams like, hey man, Wright State's going to play somebody out the MAC that weekend, and Butler's going to play somebody out of Conference USA and things like that. And it was awesome because it would be all day, and those games would be spotlighted because those teams had made damage in the tournament the following season, and they're returning a whole bunch of starters. So they're a very good team, and it's promoted all over not only ESPN but all the other networks. Like, hey, these are teams to keep an eye on for when March Madness actually starts and you guys kind of get a sneak peek. Because let's be real, man, we're stuck in our cocoon, we're stuck in our bubble. We watch our team. Like, okay, we watch Wright State, we watch UD, we watch the Buckeyes, I watch Syracuse. So those are the teams that I'm focusing on. I don't start watching all the other teams until conference play, but Bracket Busters made you sit down and take a look at Cal State Fullerton taking on, I don't know, San Diego State. Like, oh man, that dude number 2, man, I'm gonna keep an eye on him. I'll keep an eye on him and be ready for when the brackets come out. Like, they don't do that type of stuff anymore. Now, it could be the TV network, could it be the conferences? We don't know, but I think that would be ideal to bring back, and not only with the mid-major schools, but with the big schools as well. Like, hey man, I want to see Tennessee and UConn during the regular season. Like, they used to do this. Like, it wasn't always simply about, you know, going to Maui or going to Hawaii for a basketball game, tournament, and things like that. They would do the Coaches versus Cancer, and it would be a one-off game. It's not playing for a trophy. It's like, hey, man, Coaches versus Cancer is going to be Memphis and Syracuse, and then in the nightcap, it's going to be North Carolina and Kentucky. Like, we need more of those type of matchups earlier in the season, not only to judge teams off their rankings at the end of the season, but shoot, to bring in more eyeballs earlier in the season.
It's the Kinner Kev Show here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Eric Freeze on Facebook, he chimes in. What up, Eric? I haven't seen Eric pop in before. Eric says the reason teams should be upset with teams like Dayton is because Dayton not winning the A-10 tournament like they should have takes away at-large bids. And I agree with that 100%. I've always said the same thing about when Dayton fans have come at me because they've been getting mad at me all year when I call the A-10 a one-bid league. Oh, you're wrong again. Look, they're a two-bid league. I'm like, stop it. I was like, your team falling short created the two-bid league. That's not something to brag about. It's not as if like Dayton should have got if they're good enough to get the at-large bid, they should have been good enough to win the conference tournament. Them stubbing their toe and failing, it led to, of course, Duquesne coming in and stealing a bid from a team like a St. John's, from a team like an Indiana State, from teams like that should have been in. And that's that I understand that. I agree with from that perspective. Dayton failing to win their conference tournament led to a St. John's being left out. Good for the A-10. The A-10's not mad. The A-10 didn't want to be a one-bid conference back-to-back years or whatever it is. So we'll see. But all that matters is Dayton got in. They're a 7. They got to play Nevada. I think it's actually a favorable little run. Like, there's no such thing as an easy path, but I think it's an easier path. They got to play, obviously, Arizona if they beat Nevada, assuming Arizona doesn't get upset by a 16 seed. So, we'll see. But nonetheless, we'll keep an eye on this tournament run. It's going to be a good time nonetheless. It's the Basketball Mayhem Challenge. Get your brackets submitted at wingam.com. Of course, for your chance to submit a perfect bracket. If you submit a perfect bracket, what do you win, Kev?
A milli.
This
is the perfect bracket. So I'm going to send this to my mom and have her fill it out on the website. So after she wins the $1 million, she can give it to me. We don't have the same last name.
My
Top
wife.
That.
My
Top
wife.
that.
I have to. But no family can win it though.
I don't
Rules
know.
are the rules, Kev. Come
I don't
on
know
now.
her like that.
Don't you run these contests like?
Allegedly, she's my mom.
So.
How about my mother-in-law?
Doug Toby says, sounds like a lot of people listening. They think they know more than the committee. I think they have a lot of it. Doug, there's no reason. I get it. You're getting defensive of your team. Your team's in. It doesn't matter what we think. You're right. Technically, you're right. But at the same time, if Dayton would have been left out of the tournament.
Sorry to cut you off. Can you read that full statement for me? Because I want to hear exactly what you said.
Sounds like a lot of people listening think they know more than the committee. I think they have a lot more information than we do. They're only getting defensive because not the Dayton thing, but Dayton's in, so who cares what we think about that? But the bottom line is, if Dayton was left out of the tournament, Doug Toby, I promise you wouldn't be here. Well, by golly, I'm so upset that my Flyers didn't make it. But man, that committee, they know way more than I do because they have way more information. So you can't be a hypocrite and throw that at us. Like, come on.
I don't know about that, man. I don't know about that they have more information than us. I mean, the information is readily available all the time. I mean, you just simply go to the netrating.com and it shows you the numbers there. So when you look at the numbers for Virginia, there's other teams that have better numbers than Virginia. So if we're going strictly by the numbers, we should never be surprised about who's in and who's out of the tournament if we're simply going to go off the numbers. But we don't go off the numbers. We go off the numbers a lot, and then some teams we don't go off the numbers. So for whatever reason, Virginia's in March Madness. I'm not saying that Virginia's in because of Tony Bennett, because Tony Bennett has never given anybody a good soundbite. Rick Pitino sure has. I'm not going to say Virginia's in because they play in the ACC, because this has been a down year for the ACC. I'm just curious why Virginia's in over teams like a St. John's, like a Pitt, who they lost to twice, like a team like Indiana State, who had a higher net rating. That's the team that I would take out and replace them with either of those teams. Probably it would be Indiana State first for me. Then it would be St. John's, and then it would be Pitt, because Pitt didn't play anybody in the non-con, and the two teams that they did play in the non-con, Mizzou was absolutely horrible. They didn't win a conference game, and they lost to them on their home floor. So Pitt is like the lower level of people that should be upset that they didn't make it. But the Indiana States and St. John's, they should have their hands raised to the sky about like, hey, what are they doing in here?
Yep.
What are they doing in here? I know it's totally different now. We don't do, hey, man, look at their last 10 games. We don't look at the RPI. We look more at the net. Their net ain't that good. And when I watched them on TV, they weren't that good either.
Ryan Strauss on Facebook says, or be mad at 19-13 Michigan State, as a 9 seed, bubble team at best. Not saying OSU deserved to be in, but should have been in the discussion over Michigan State, even as a play-in, as far as that's concerned.
I'm not mad at that take. I'm not mad at that take at all. That month of January for Ohio State was just so brutal. And you got to give Michigan State props, because they are one of the few teams out there that still plays a tough non-conference schedule. Ohio State does as well. But the thing that Ohio State was hanging on to even remotely get on the bubble was all their top wins. They had a lot of good wins, but they had so many bad losses. That it was just hard to overlook that. I think they could have played themselves into first four if they would have beat Illinois. If they would have made it to championship Sunday in the Big Ten championship, I think they could have made it into the play-in game. Yeah. To the first four game, I'm sorry.
So, don't call it the playing game. The first four is not. We don't call it that anymore.
I know. I'm sorry.
We don't call it that anymore. You can call it whatever you want.
Opening round. It was an error. It's
a human error as far as that goes. Good stuff. Appreciate everyone's feedback. We got some callers on hold. We'll get to your calls coming up around the corner here. Coming up, 3 teams to watch. 3 teams to watch, 3 players to watch, and 3 teams going home early. We have that coming up around the corner, as well as top headlines. Your calls, 518-1410. Dayton, how do you feel about the Flyers getting that 7th seed? I think some of you had to be a little surprised. Even the most homerist of Homer fans had to be a little surprised that they got that 7th seed treatment. But it's like a backhanded compliment. We're gonna give you a 7, but we're gonna slap you with the 10, being Nevada, because Nevada is a team that had a resume as good, if not better, than Dayton's, that should have been seeded a lot higher. And it's kind of like the last time Dayton was in the tournament when they had to face Wichita State, another example of a team that should not have been seeded as low as they were. Wichita State was much better. They ended up beating Dayton. What's that matchup going to be like? Dayton and Nevada, they play up on Thursday. We'll talk about that matchup coming around the corner. You mentioned Ohio State. They introduced a new head coach today. The coach that replaced Chris Holtmann introduced at Ohio State on the same day that Chris Holtmann introduced at his new gig over at DePaul. And we got our hands on the contract. We know what the contract breakdown is. I find this very fascinating.
They got a non-compete.
There's a lot of interesting stuff in there as far as that's concerned. But we'll step away for a few moments. We've got a lot more to dive into over the next couple of hours. It's the Kinner and Kev Show here on a Monday. Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. We'll be right back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
Our forecast is calling for scattered snow showers and then mostly clear and 26 tonight. Partly sunny, breezy, 52 tomorrow. Sunny and 49 Wednesday. I'm Rick Schremp for 1410 ESPN Radio.
It's Kubota Orange Days, your golden opportunity to score a deal that'll make your neighbors green with envy. Shop the year's best selection of Kubota tractors, zero-turn mowers, and utility vehicles, including the #1 selling compact tractor in the USA. And get the year's best deals, like 0% APR for 84 months or up to $3,300 off L3302 tractors.
Stop by Columbus Equipment in Columbus, Dayton, or Toledo to see our full line of Kubota construction equipment, or check us out online at columbusequipment.com.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com.
Frickers tips off the season with a trio of fan favorites. Frickers Street Tacos are back for a limited time. While you enjoy the march to the national championship of college basketball on Frickers TVs, you'll savor the flavor of 3 Frickers Street Tacos. Frickin' Chicken Tacos, Grilled Chicken Tacos, and Mississippi Barbecue Tacos are back for a limited time. While your brackets get busted, smash a personal picture of domestic draft for only $6.99. Hurry before time runs out at the home for fun, food, sports, and spirits. Frickers.
It's time, basketball bettors. It's March Mania. Justin Kinner here to tell you about BetUS.com. I endorse one sportsbook and casino, and that's BetUS.com. They've been driving to the basket for over 30 years. This year, BetUS has an epic three-pointer, a 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits. That's right, the industry's craziest 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits. Plus, 10% gambler's insurance. And there's even more. BetUS accepts crypto and is offering a massive 200% crypto sign-up bonus. Gambler's insurance and crypto. You don't see that everywhere. March Mania basketball can get even more exciting with their live in-game betting. It's also a blast to check out their casino after the game, where you could get a 250% casino bonus. Get started by visiting BetUS.com or give them a call at 1-800-MyBetUS to learn about all of their bonuses and special offers. BetUS, where the game begins.
Folks, the Colonel here with Homestead Feed and Supply. You've asked for it, and the homesteaders, well, they went out and got it. Homestead Feed and Supply is now a full-blown Purina dealer. You heard that right. Homestead carries Purina feed products, including Fitter, Honor Show Feeds, Depth Charge. Heck, they've even got the golden ticket. Stop in to Homestead Feed and Supply, 1833 North Dayton Lakeview Road, New Carlisle, or visit the Homestead Feed and Supply Facebook page. Tell them the Colonel sent you.
Introducing Discover Cashback Debit, a game-changing checking account with cash back. Eligibility and terms at discover.com/cashbackdebit. Discover Bank, member FDIC.
Getting your biggest tax refund from Jackson Hewitt can lead to some spirited reactions.
Jackson Hewitt!
Jackson Hewitt is so sure they'll get you your biggest refund that if they don't, you get your money back plus $100.
Jackson Hewitt!
Switch to Jackson Hewitt and we'll beat what you paid last year, even if you filed online. Ain't nothing to it. Switch to Jackson Hewitt and pay less for tax prep, guaranteed. Proof of prior year payment required when filing. New clients only at participating locations through April 7th. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com.
Pizza's here. Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Here's another remarkable success story from QC Kinetics. This one from Chad, who hurt his knee at the gym one day, and it just kept on hurting for months.
From my high school football and wrestling days, I already had a little bit of damage in there, but this just sent it over the edge.
Chad tried traditional treatments with no improvement when he turned to the non-surgical regenerative treatments at QC Kinetics.
It was really fascinating how they did their work, and the science behind it was very intriguing, and it works. Extracting the cure out of my own body blew my mind. It's like I'm brand new again. It was fantastic.
That's because the QC Kinetics natural biologic treatments use your body's own healing power to restore damaged tissue in your hips, shoulders, back, and knees, providing long-lasting relief.
Now I'm back at the gym. I'm 100% feeling great.
If you're tired of suffering with pain from arthritis or injury, call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics 937-936-0325. That's 937-936-0325. 937-936-0325.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
Hungry for a great time? Maybe some great food? Then come on down to your neighborhood Submarine House. Try our oven-toasted deli subs, our mouth-watering salads, pizzas, appetizers, and more. And wash them down with a unique selection of craft beers while watching the big game on our big screens. With locations around Dayton, in Columbus, and our newest sports bar in Kettering, you're never far from a Submarine House. Subs, sports, spirits. Submarine House.
Did you know that although our name may be Carol Wirtz Tire, we're more than tires? We're one of the leading service centers in the area, from personal vehicles to fleet maintenance. We'll keep you on the road. Come see us at Carol Wirtz Tire. Did you know that Carol Wirtz specializes in servicing mixed fleet vehicles? We keep your business moving by tailoring our service programs to meet your company's specific needs. Let us keep your fleet on the road with Carol Wirtz Tire.
Hey, let me tell you about the advantages of driving with my friends at Cordell Transportation. First of all, for the new year, they're offering brand new equipment to drive. They purchased new equipment, and not a lot of people could say that, but they've got it, and they're ready to roll with you. Cordell Transportation is offering an incredible $5,000 sign-on bonus paid over 18 months. If you're an experienced Class A CDL driver looking for excellent benefits, home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freights, then apply today online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week, there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
All right, and we are back. It's the Kinner Kev Show here, post-selection Sunday edition of the show. Shout out to Hollywood Gaming for having us out yesterday for our Kinner and Kev special broadcast, our bracket reveal, reacting in live time, of course, to as the teams were announced. We found out who would be participating and playing in the first four at UD Arena, finding out where Dayton was playing, who they were playing, what seed line. And I don't think obviously everyone could guesstimate where they thought Dayton was going to be seated, but I don't think anyone expected them to be all the way over in Utah playing. I think one thing we could all agree on, regardless of the seed, we all expected to be within driving distance of watching the Flyers, but it's almost as if the committee does not build everything based around what's convenient for Flyer fans as opposed to what everyone else. But nonetheless, Dayton and Nevada on Thursday, that's how they tip off their NCAA tournament.
Thursday, do we got a time yet?
It's on. I'll pull it up here. I know it's in the evening. I think it's right around 6, if I'm not mistaken. 6
oh,
or
okay,
6:30.
cool.
So there's maybe either way. I know it's Thursday evening as far as that's concerned.
Oh, sweet. Thursday at 4:30.
4:30, not 6:30. 4:30.
4:30, and watch it on TBS.
So
watch the Flyers on TBS.
See, and then Jeremy Babacar says 3:30. So 4:30. It's 4:30.
4:30 according to ESPN.
Did I say 4:30 Eastern?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm going to go with what it says there. Gary Peck says, UD fan here, but the committee just told us that the A-10 regular season games do not matter. Richmond wins the regular season, beats the third-place Dayton team, and head-to-head. Both lose their first league tournament game, and Richmond is left out while UD is in. That's what I'm saying. Like, the committee stuff doesn't make any sense as far as how they handle Dayton. Like, the thing about the numbers, and I'm not mad that Dayton's a 7. They're a good example. Like, all Dayton fans are happy they're a 7. That's super. Be happy. But while you complained about the misseeding of other teams, your team was misseeded too. I think they were seeded too high. I don't think they were a 7 seed. Like, so the numbers show that they had a very good out-of-conference schedule. But I'm like, Cincinnati, non-tournament team, LSU, non-tournament team, Northwestern. Like, I mean, they didn't play. I mean, who did they
Northwestern made the tournament, but they lost to Northwestern.
But they lost. So, okay, there you go. Lost to Northwestern. But like the teams that are in the tournament that Dayton beat, Grambling. Okay. Oakland. Okay. I mean,
Horizon, baby.
Yeah. I mean, they technically beat Duquesne at one point this season. So they beat 3. I know they
beat Duquesne twice.
They beat, so they lost to Duquesne once, or they split. They only played Duquesne once.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not mad that they're a 7. It just doesn't make sense that they're a 7. And we could talk about the fact that college basketball provides metrics to back stuff up, but the metrics are telling you that non-conference was elite. Like, that's what I'm confused on, Kev. If that's the case, it's easy to make the NCAA tournament if you're Dayton. You don't have to play Kansas. You don't have to play. I mean, they played Houston. Even they played Houston and lost. They played Northwestern and lost. But if all you got to do is beat LSU and Cincinnati to get a 7 seed in the NCAA tournament, it's not that hard to make it. How did it take 7 years to make it for Anthony Grant if it's that easy to freaking make it? As far as that's concerned. But then nothing makes sense. Then you get a team like St. John's who played great non-conference teams, had great non-conference had great wins in the Big East, and then they get left out. That's where all that stuff doesn't make any sense. And there's going to be way more opportunities to criticize the selection committee because you're dealing with 68 teams, to where the college football playoff, you're dealing with technically putting 4 in.
Right.
You probably realistically have 8 teams, and sometimes not even that, as far as realistically getting into a 14 playoff. A little bit more difficult when you're juggling probably 100 teams, right? Is that safe to say? 68 teams get in, maybe 100 high, maybe 80. I don't know. I get to maybe 80 to 90 teams realistically in the conversation of making the tournament. So.
Yeah, I mean, he brings up a great point about Richmond winning the conference tournament regular season. I've always said this. I think that
they did play Duquesne 3 times. My apologies. So
no problem. I've always said this. I think that winning the conference regular season title is way more impressive than winning the tournament title. And I've always said that the regular season
more than the tournament. Okay,
because you are going through the gauntlet. You're playing basically everybody in your conference. Some teams you're playing them multiple times. Sometimes you're at home. Sometimes you're on the road. Sometimes, like Clark Kellogg said, sometimes you're playing 4 games in a week. But in the conference tournament setting, it's on a neutral floor. And shoot, for, the ACC, you can't tell me that Duke and North Carolina and NC State don't always have the advantage over, the Syracuses and the Miamis and the Louisvilles because, oh, wait, it's in Greensboro, North Carolina. So their fan base is going to travel if they're good or not. So I think winning the regular season title in a conference is way more powerful, should hold way more weight than winning a conference tournament. But I know it's about money. It's about TV views. It's about, hey, man, you win this tournament, you get an auto bid. I've always said the auto bid should go to the regular season champion.
I agree with that. That would add 3 months of urgent basketball. So obviously calling games to say to Horizon League Conference is 1 bid. Okay. They get a 1 bid league, yada, yada. Okay, cool.
And especially at the Horizon League level.
Yeah, because and so what the Horizon used to have was the regular season crown, and not just Horizon, all conferences, but the mid-major conferences at least had, if you won the regular season and you didn't win your conference tournament, you would get the NIT auto bid. And Super, you had a big time postseason tournament to play in one way or another. The NIT announces after the season started, by the way. After the season started is when the NIT announced the changes that, the auto bid for the NIT would not be given to mid-major conferences like that. So winning the Horizon League means what? Diddly squat. I mean, Milwaukee was not good during the regular season, but they get to the Horizon League finals. Like, what do we do? Like, and that's not good for those leagues either. What the league would want, and this wouldn't benefit Wright State, but Wright State wasn't a top 2 team in the league record-wise this year. But Oakland ultimately won the league and ultimately won the tournament. So kudos to them for winning that double. But you know what I mean? Like, that's just one of those where the regular season, they played great basketball for 3 months. You should reward that team that went through the gauntlet of 3 months of beating the teams that they should have, as opposed to, oh, this team got hot, hit a buzzer beater, and we should reward them with representing the league. I don't like that idea. I just don't. I don't care for that as far as that's concerned. Now, someone did bring up Tim Sizemore. What up, Tim? He goes, Dayton did beat St. John's. Well, it wasn't a tournament team. So, what? No.
They should have been. I like what you brought up about the NIT, but some teams have decided to opt out of the NIT. St. John's, Pittsburgh, Memphis, Ole Miss, Indiana, Oklahoma, Syracuse have all opted out of the NIT.
Yep. And then you have Tom Crean, who's the biggest hypocrite in the world. He's being propped up by all of the do-gooders out there. Like, he's getting on all these teams opting out of the NIT, which I'm not a fan of. But it's not all these teams' fault. Let's be real. It's kind of like the college football thing, like opting out of bowl games because half your roster's opting out. Today, guess what happened today? The transfer portal opened for college basketball. Okay. The transfer portal opened for college basketball.
A lot of Michigan guys in that portal.
We just found out who's in the NIT and in the NCAA tournament. Some of the reasons that coaches are, they're opting out of the NIT is because of the fact that half the roster is going to enter the portal today.
Yep.
I'm not going to prepare with walk-ons. You could say, well, it doesn't matter. So Tom Crean goes on this little do-gooder rant about, coaches should want to coach every second that they have a chance to coach, and players should want to play. And that all sounds great. But guess what Indiana did about 7-8 years ago when Tom Crean was the head coach at Indiana?
Opted out.
They opted out of the NIT, you hypocrite.
Didn't want to downgrade their home court to have the NIT at their own home court. That is so hypocritical. It's so crazy when you get on TV and start spewing that, but it's different when you're on the coach's seat, in that seat, and have to make those decisions. Now, I'm not saying that Tom Crean probably didn't have, the voices from the athletic director in his ear as well, and probably had some players that didn't want to go into the NIT because, shoot, we talked about it yesterday. What does NIT stand for now?
Non-tournament.
Yeah. So once that gets out to the public, people just look at it as, it's not the real one. It's a knockoff version of the tournament. I don't want to participate in it. And what I've been saying is whoever wins this NIT tournament, the Buckeyes are a 2 seed in the NIT tournament. They are very dangerous to win it because they want to be there. They want to be there. They're going to use this to propel themselves into next season. This isn't the NIT of the 90s where it's super celebrated, or even, 10, 15 years ago where like, hey, man, it's a proud of accomplishment to be in the NIT and go win it. Is looked at as like, oh, man, you guys got to play in the NIT. Oh, I feel bad for you. We're in the big tournament. We're going to the big dance. We got a chance to win it. I know we're a 16 seed and we're probably not going to, but at least we have an opportunity to. You guys, NIT. That's how it's viewed now.
Yeah, and so you got a team like Wright State over the years who, up until Coach Nagy got here, postseason basketball just was non-existent at Wright State outside of one tournament appearance per decade. Coach Nagy gets here, they go on a 5-year stretch where it was either NCAA tournament or NIT. And then the people that try to water it down, oh, it's the NIT, who cares about the NIT? All while the same stretch, the other team in town is also playing nothing but NIT games and also getting knocked out in the first round, losing to teams like Colorado and Memphis and yada, yada. So the NIT, I like the NIT. I don't really like the vibe of it now, but, I hate that, there's some bad teams that got put in that Georgia. Who were they playing? Xavier got in. They finished under 500. They got put in the NIT.
Well, they got to have teams to fill.
And it's like, but go give a team like a Wright State or someone that gives a damn. But again, business side, that That doesn't make any sense. So I completely get that. So coming up tomorrow night, first four action. We're going to talk with Jeff Hoagland. He's on the committee for the Big Hoopla, the organizing committee that helps bring the first four to Dayton every year. Shout out to the Big Hoopla. We were at Hollywood Gaming yesterday, and they sent us out with some basketballs and some hats. I'm sporting my Big Hoopla hat today. So, some shirts and stuff that I left there. I got to go back and get it. But I had to shoot out an email this morning like, hey, we left that box over there. I had maybe one too many cocktails when I was there yesterday. They just kept bringing them out. Shout out to Shayla. She helped. She had to help me because Kev just left me on an island.
Yeah,
but he stuck to his diet.
Yeah, but guess what? This diet ends on May 19th.
So hopefully they'll let us sample. Wink.
Yeah.
All the is what
I shall make my return.
So there's that. But so the part of the exciting thing from yesterday with the bracket reveal was to see where Dayton was going to play, who they were going to play, when they were going to play, and then on top of that was. We are also impacted by the NCAA tournament here in Dayton because we're the city that tips it off every year, the first four. There was a point, too, where I was starting to be convinced that Dayton was a legitimate first four contender. Keep in mind, Dayton was being rumored to potentially drop to a 10 seed, especially with all the bid stealers out there, too. They kept dropping back, and it made sense that, even Jerry Palm, his last bracketology report that he put out, he had Michigan State playing in Dayton in the first four going up against Dayton. So that would have been wild to see Dayton play Michigan State in the first four at UD Arena. That's obviously not the case, and I think some Flyer fans would have preferred that over having to figure out how the hell they're going to get to Utah to go watch Dayton play Nevada nonetheless. But the NCAA tournament tips off tomorrow night. Wagner and Howard, the 16 seed matchup, and then Colorado State and Virginia will be the nightcap. That'll be the 9 o'clock tip off on True TV. True TV has both games tomorrow. They're going to take a break from running reruns of Impractical Jokers.
Impractical Jokers.
I had Joe from Impractical Jokers on the show about a month ago. He performed in Dayton. He was great. So
what's that other show they always show on there? They The Dumbest Things on TV. They always show that one too.
Oh, I got hooked on a show last night on accident. It was called What Would You Do? And it's a staged little thing where they go out in public and they stage these uncomfortable events, and then they start making it look like they're going to go and like she's going to cheat, and they try to see how people in public respond and act to this. I couldn't turn it off. It was like a train wreck. I could not turn it off. It was fascinating. My ADD brain was just in full force last night. But nonetheless,
how long you stay up?
10 o'clock. I was out.
Okay.
I was passed out pretty early, but I took a sleeping pill. Was passed out. The alcohol too and sleeping pills doesn't really go well together. But here I am today. Stop it. Focus. First four tomorrow: Wagner, Howard, Colorado State, Virginia, and then on Wednesday night, Kev, you're going to get, of course, Grambling, who we saw play at the arena against UD earlier this season. They'll take on Montana State.
Unfair advantage for the Grambling.
Why is that?
Yeah, they've already been here.
Oh, they already know how the court looks and sounds and feels and smells. Like it's a new court. See the new court laid out.
They got the depth perception all worked out.
Colorado and Boise State will be the nightcap as well. Boise, I feel like, I don't know if they keep track. I feel like no team has played in more first four games here than them.
I think you're right.
It's their third appearance. They played I think they played in 13, 15, and now here. They did the video reveal, and there was no excitement at all. They're like, we got to go to freaking Dayton.
Back to Dayton.
First four. It was like when Michigan found out that they had to play Alabama, Oh, crap. Nonetheless. But
they somehow won.
So those are your first four matchups. But I know we have a call. Oh, William, thanks for holding. You were on live on the Kinner Kev Show. What's going on, man?
Hey, how you doing? I am beyond excited for the first time in my school's history.
Who's your school?
State University. Dayton native, but a Grambling graduate. And I am so excited for them to be in the dance for the first time in school history, and for that first time to be playing here in Dayton. I don't have tickets yet, but I will get there somehow because I am beyond excited. I was there when they played UD earlier in the season. I definitely will be there on Wednesday evening.
That's awesome.
However, though, my problem with the first four, if the automatic bid goes to a conference tournament winner, why does a conference tournament winner have to come to the first four? Shouldn't the first four be for bubble teams that are just getting in as a middle of the run in your conference, and they're just getting in, as opposed to a conference winner then has to come here to the first four? And it's always HBCUs that come here every year. Why is that? So Listen, thank you for taking my call.
William, thank you. Actually, I should have kept him on because I wanted to ask him.
Call us back, William.
I felt this way a little bit a few years ago when Wright State got put in the first four. It's like, well, they won their conference tournament, and now they have to play this game to get into the tournament. But the bottom line is when you win your conference tournament, you're in the NCAA tournament. I look at this as the NCAA tournament. The floor says March Madness. It's the NCAA tournament environment. Fans who pay for tickets, it's the NCAA tournament as far as that's concerned. I say this. I love the fact, I know we had talked to Tanner Holden when he was on with us a few weeks ago. I love that Wright State made the first 4 years ago. I loved it. I loved it because they got to take on Bryant, who they had a chance to beat. And I got a chance to watch my team play in 2 NCAA tournament games that season. And it doesn't guarantee you a win. Like Grambling going to take on Montana State. But what I would have asked William if I'd have kept him on the line would have been, but don't you think it's pretty cool that you're going to see them playing a game that they have a chance to win? And when you see if they beat Montana State, and you got to watch them win an NCAA tournament game, that's something that you would not have been able to do had they played Arizona or somebody, whoever the number one, let's say they had to go play a Houston or UConn or whoever. To me, William sounded like a big, obviously a Grambling fan. Grambling has a chance to win this tournament game tomorrow night. They're going to celebrate this tournament win. The school's going to get the payout. Wright State won that first 4 game a few years ago. They got the same payout that they would if they won a regular NCAA tournament game, which to me makes this a regular NCAA tournament game. However, you're not wrong. He's not wrong as far as technically format-wise, you're playing for that final 16 seed to go play the 1 seed. I just look at it as an opportunity to get that additional payout, to get that exposure. Grambling is going to be playing tomorrow night in the NCAA tournament while no other team is playing. To where if they play the 16 versus 1 2 days later, you're one of 100 games playing all at one time, and you don't get as much exposure as what you actually think that you're getting, especially going up against a 16. I don't know about you. I don't watch 1/16s. I'm not going to watch a game that's going to be done by the first media timeout. I will watch tomorrow. We're going to be there. I will watch that tomorrow because that's the only game going on, and it's the first game to tip off the NCAA tournament. William, I understand your pain, and I understand your questioning of that. But at the same time, I found a way to put a positive spin on it. It's an opportunity to win a tournament game that, in essence, had you just got the 16 outright, you would just be going to get an ass whooping in the first round of the NCAA tournament based on how historically it works.
I totally get where he's coming from, and I definitely understand where you're coming from. Speaking from the Wright State perspective, I wanted them to go and play whoever the number 1 seed is. Just from hey man, we earned our opportunity to go get our teeth kicked in by Arizona. Like we've earned that chance to do that. But from your perspective, and selfishly, hey man, I got to go see Wright State play in a tournament game 10 minutes away from my house. Like not a lot of people have that opportunity to do that. But I definitely understand, and I've said this for years, that I believe that those every team that's quote unquote the last 4 in should be a 10 seed. And selfishly enough, it's going to make for better television, because you tell me if it's, I don't know, I'm just going to pick some random teams here. If it's Michigan State as a 10 seed and St. John's at a 10 seed and they're at UD Arena, you tell me more people aren't going to be invested in that game on the boob tube. We know that we're going to be in the building. We know we're going to watch that game. So you put that in there. Then you do another 10 matchup between, like I say, random teams. If it's Syracuse and UCLA in there, you tell me that's not going to move the needle. And then you do another one. It's, UC and Ohio State playing in that 10-10 matchup. And then you pick another random matchup. If it's Mizzou and Kentucky in that matchup in the 10-10 slot, that's going to bring more eyeballs to the television set, because I know a lot of people that don't watch the 2-16 games. They turn it on because it's on. It's kind of like in the background, or they're flipping around. But when that 10-10 matchup comes on at 9:30, they're watching that because these are brand name teams that they actually heard of. So I've always been a proponent of all those matchups should be 10-10 games. I have a whole bunch of schools that were literally on the bubble to make it in. I think the 16 seeds have earned the right to go ahead and play the 1 seed.
And then his comment too about the HBCUs. So a lot of the HBCU schools play in the smaller mid-major conferences. Those smaller mid-major conferences, a lot of times, because they're not playing, they're playing, like, for instance, Grambling went and they had to go play Dayton and other stuff too. But so with those schools that do make the NCAA tournament first 4, a lot of it is they just play in such small conferences that when they do win their conference tournament, their net ranking, their all the other stuff that is put into the equation usually isn't strong enough to put them past that 16 seed. That's one explanation as far as that's concerned, just based on how that works. A lot of those lower tier mid-major conferences, I mean, the Horizon more times than not, I know we're talking about HBCUs, but I mean, that's why, to Wright State's benefit, maybe they don't view it as a benefit, but if they're in the tournament, they're always going to be in line with the first 4 push. But again, that's a selfish fan perspective. I like that. We talked with Tanner last week or 2 weeks ago. He said that they were kind of bummed about it just because they, you make the tournament. You're Wright State. You don't want to drive 10 minutes to your NCAA tournament game. You want to experience the travel and all the stuff that comes with it. But nonetheless, it all worked out. So.
Wright State would have been a 14 seed. Would have been playing
Kentucky.
Go Oakland, baby. Represent for the Horizon.
We're going to have, I'm talking with Greg Campy tomorrow.
Okay.
Head coach of Oakland. It's the longest tenured head coach in basketball.
Really?
Oh, yeah. He's been there 40-something years.
Are you serious?
Yep. He was up there with the Coach K's and the Roy Williams but he was up there with the Coach K as far as being there, and then Boeheim as far as being at the same program for that long time. But yeah, I've been there a long, long time. So
40 years.
Yep.
Amazing.
Yeah, he's been there for quite some time. But working with the league, so I have him on for the might have him on the show. I'll just talk with Greg Campy tomorrow. Why not? Kinner Kev Show, 1410 ESPN Radio. Get your brackets filled out. Bracket Mayhem at wingam.com. Get your brackets submitted. That's what we're going to be. So the picks that you put on your paper bracket, those are the same ones that we'll find on your bracket.
Absolutely.
At wingam.com.
One bracket. So I was telling this story to Faith, and we had some people from the National Guard taking a tour of the building today, and they were asking me, like, who got in Final Four, yada, yada, yada. And
I heard
multiple brackets. And I tell them, like, I used to be a multiple bracket person, and I got burned. I got burned one year because this one year I had multiple brackets, and I thought that the bracket that I turned in was the winning bracket because I was just getting them all right. I was like, man, I'm killing it. I'm going to win the jackpot. I'm going to win this $200. I'm going to win. And then when I got back to my computer and checked, it was the wrong bracket. It was my wrong bracket. So since then on, it's been one bracket. This is the bracket that I'm going to use for our tournament. This is the bracket that I'm going to use for my family's tournament that we put some money in. It is one bracket, sheet of integrity. I will not be burned again.
I'm a vibe person, so like all my brackets are different, and I don't do I picked them on my last bracket, so I'm gonna pick them here. I might feel a little different now. I might feel a little different about Nevada and Dayton an hour from now than what I do right now. Like right now, my stomach says Nevada. You know
what we should do?
What?
We should fill out our bracket live on the air, game by game,
pick by pick,
game
minute by
minute,
hour by hour, segment by segment.
Yeah,
I'd fill up a show.
Yeah,
fill up a show. Aye. Man, so much college basketball stuff on deck here for today. The women's draw was last night as well.
Yes.
Now, I have not taken a deep dive into that yet. Is there a potential? Where would Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese potentially match
regional
up?
Final.
Are they on the same side?
Yes, regional final. They will not meet in the Final Four. They will meet for a chance to go.
That's garbage. That's garbage. But actually, I know why they did it.
Exactly.
It increases the chances of it happening if they meet sooner in the tournament than versus, okay. That's not garbage. It guarantees it. Ohio State avoids South Carolina at least.
Indeed. They have UConn and I want to say Stanford on their side.
So, real easy stuff as far as that's concerned.
Goodness.
The NIT, I know not in tournament, but I don't think I've ever seen Ohio State as excited for an NIT game or tournament as this one right here.
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
Jake Diebler era has officially started. And will it start with an NIT championship? That's going to be the big key. So we'll talk about all of that. The women's tournament coming up around the corner. We'll get to that. I see Shaw's on hold with, Dayton and Nevada. People's thoughts on that. We'll get back to the comment section. I see some interesting takeaways about the first four and for our, as far as that's concerned. So we got a lot more to dive into. Kinner Kev, 1410 ESPN Radio. We'll be right back.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
Staples stores provide innovative products and services for small business, remote workers and learners, even teachers and parents. Explore more at your local Staples store.
Menards is your electrical headquarters. Protect your home from power surges with the Square D Whole Home Surge Protector. This compact and affordable surge protector is compatible with all load center brands and protects your home's entire electrical system, including your major appliances. Save big on surge protectors at Menards, and don't forget to check out our flyer on menards.com for all the great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20, a Pfizer vaccine.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine. It can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
It's that time. Start crunching numbers, downloading forms, and finding all those receipts you've stashed away. Getting frustrated yet? Try crunching this number, 543-5770. Arrowhead Tax Service in New Carlisle. The professionals at Arrowhead Tax Service will take the time to ensure you receive the largest refund possible. Visit today for a free consultation at 113 West Jefferson Street in New Carlisle. All military and veterans save 25% off your tax preparation. At Arrowhead Tax Service, our target is your satisfaction.
It's time, basketball bettors. It's March Mania. Justin Kinner here to tell you about BetUS.com. I endorse one sportsbook and casino, and that's BetUS.com. They've been driving to the basket for over 30 years. This year, BetUS has an epic three-pointer, a 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits. That's right, the industry's craziest 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits. Plus, 10% gamblers insurance. And there's even more. BetUS accepts crypto and is offering a massive 200% crypto sign-up bonus. Gamblers insurance and crypto. You don't see that everywhere. March Mania basketball can get even more exciting with their live in-game betting. It's also a blast to check out their casino after the game, where you could get a 250% casino bonus. Get started by visiting BetUS.com or give them a call at 1-800-MyBetUS to learn about all of their bonuses and special offers. BetUS, where the game begins.
You can score bonus savings on better sleep during Mattress Firm's Friends and Family Sale. Save up to $700 with your extra discount. Plus, get a free adjustable base on select beds.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation and a regular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduce stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. It may increase your stroke risk. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding, unusual bruising, or tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. Medications such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners may increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
And we are back. It's the Kinner Kev Show, Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. I am ready for the madness. I am ready for the NCAA tournament. I'm ready for the first 4 tomorrow. I'm ready for it all. And I'm ready to get my bracket submitted. Have you filled yours out already?
I
Did you get it submitted at wingam.com?
I have not. I'm just trying to
due today.
All capital letters.
All capital letters.
I think I'm ready. I think I'm ready to hit send.
We're going to get to our 3 teams to watch, 3 players to watch, and 3 teams going home early coming up here in just a bit. But nonetheless, let's see. Alex Early on Facebook. He goes, my Boise State Broncos playing in the first 4 for the 3rd time in 10 years, I believe, despite having 2 wins over San Diego State, 2 wins over New Mexico, a win over St. Mary's, and a win over VCU. Not sure what the committee had against the Mountain West at-large bids. Colorado State play-in game, Nevada a 10 seed, San Diego State is a 5 seed. I mean, look, he's fired up.
Wow, really?
Yeah, like Boise was not seeded properly. Like the Big East got a lot of attention today for the teams that were left out. And then the Mountain West got a lot of noise today. They got a lot of teams in, but Kev, they were given very weird seed lines. Nevada should not be a 10. Dayton, I'll give Dayton this. Like they did what they were supposed to. They won the games that they needed. They got to the tournament. They got that 7 seed, but a 7 seed should not be playing a team that's probably worthy of a 5 or 6 in the first round of the NCAA. Nevada's really good, and Boise's really good. Boise should not be playing in Dayton for the 3rd time in 10 years, as Alex just talked about. Alex, I agree with you there. It's kind of wild.
Alex, would you flip Boise and Michigan State? Would that be something that would be worthy of a flip?
Where'd Michigan? They're 9, right?
I just saw them. I lost them.
It's all right. So, while Kev's looking that up, Alex, the question I have is, and I saw Joe Lenardi put this out there yesterday too. He goes, it's that time of year where everyone complains about where a team is at, but they don't provide where a team should be. And I'm not saying you did anything wrong. I'm just saying, like, obviously, I agree. Boise should not be in the first 4.
Yeah, Michigan State is in an 8-9 matchup with Mississippi State in the West.
So, Alex, message back into the show, where would you want Boise? Where do you think a fair seed line is? But Nevada's another one that should not be at the 10. Like they should not be at the 10 as far as that's concerned too. He said Shaw, he chimed into the 9, but Michigan State got it. Yeah, he said Boise more along the line of an 8 or 7 seed compared Dayton's resume against theirs. I agree. Their resume blows Dayton's out of the water. Boise's does. But, like, you know what I mean? You look at the wins that they have. Like, Dayton's wins are not that impressive. I saw in the news the other day, Channel 2, they put Dayton's best wins. They put Oakland up there. I'm like, I like Oakland. I'm talking to Greg Campy tomorrow. I might leave this segment out of our conversation. But if you're using Oakland as one of your top wins to justify a resume, I don't think it's that great.
It's a great Horizon League.
I'm just saying, I love the Horizon League, all right? But I'm self-aware that if you have to use a Horizon League that's not a Horizon League team that's not Butler to put on your best wins resume, I'm sorry, that ain't it. That ain't it. I'm with Alex on that one.
Only if the Horizon League had a podcast.
They do.
Oh, really?
Reach the Horizon.
Oh,
episode coming out tomorrow.
Oh, wow. Who hosts that?
This guy.
What?
This guy, Greg Campy tomorrow, talking with him. I guess I'm gonna leave this conversation out.
Nice.
But nonetheless. 518-1410. Thoughts on Dayton, thoughts on the tournament, thoughts on the NIT, the first 4, anything. Shaw, what is up? Thanks for holding.
Not much. How about you guys?
Chilling.
Did you recover from last night, Kinner?
I didn't need to recover. I did as far as the overeating's concerned.
Yeah, I get that. Where shall I begin? Let's go with, I still believe Dayton shouldn't be in the tournament. I don't care that they're a 7. The committee can choose whatever numbers they want to use to justify putting a team in. So I can justify using their numbers against the committee for putting them at a 7. What team have they beat? And I know, Kinner, you brought it up for the last month and a half, and I get all that, but I'll be the guy who takes the whipping today, I guess, from the social media mob. They haven't beat nobody. St. John's, I get all that, and maybe I guess we can throw in the caller earlier Grambling team, and we can throw the lower tier of the A10 in there as quality wins, but they haven't beat nobody. Yeah, they played a quasi tough schedule, but they didn't beat nobody. They beat an LSU team that was garbage in the SEC. They beat an overrated UC team that was garbage in the Big 12. And outside of that, who's the quality win?
So my question for people that don't think UD should be in, or they're seated too high, where would you have them seated, and who would you replace UD with?
UD would be out and Indiana State would be in. And you can put Indiana State at the 7 seed that Dayton was currently holding, or you could move Indiana State to a playing game. I don't care where you would put Indiana State, but you can't justify to me having Dayton in the tournament and Indiana State sitting at home, or Indiana State sitting at home and Virginia in the tournament, or Indiana State sitting at home and Michigan State in the tournament. This whole thing of we use the net and we use all these metrics to prop up certain teams and make the reason why they're getting bids and other teams to not get bids, but yet you look deeper into their resumes and the numbers just don't make sense.
So let me ask you this why do you think certain teams are in and other teams are left out? Because we can't sit here and act like Tony Bennett is like the most popular coach of all time. Like, he's super popular. So I don't think it's a coach thing. I mean, you have Rick Pitino and St. John's left out. I mean, he's pretty popular. He's won a national championship in the last decade. So, I mean, is it a popularity thing in your opinion? Is it a coach popularity thing in your opinion? Why do you think these teams are being left out?
It all depends on where you play, what conference you play in. Virginia's in because they play in the ACC. St. John's is not in because they play in the Big East. The Big East isn't as respected as it used to be. If this was the 1990s, early 2000s, St. John's is in, but it's not that way anymore. Indiana State didn't make it because it's Indiana State. It's simple as that. Michigan State got in because they have Tom Izzo as their head coach. You ain't leaving him out.
I think a lot of it too, this goes back to what Kevin and I talked about earlier. I think that it was 10, 15 years ago, it was so much easier to build these brackets because outside of if you were a 1, 2, 3 seed, after that, 4 and back, the gap between 1, 2, 3 seeds and everyone else was so wide that it just made sense. The bracket would make a little bit more sense. Now, people would still debate about who should be in, who shouldn't. They're seated too high, this, that, and the other. But right now, I mean, I'm looking up and down this bracket, and it's very difficult for me to see where the cutoff point is of the real teams versus the Cinderella teams. And what I mean by that is, like if a 7 seed gets to the championship, if Dayton gets to the championship game, it's not that surprising. If you know what I mean? Like if you look at Duquesne can make a deep run. They're sitting there at 11. I think that they're seated too high, but I think that when the A-10 title game ended that afternoon, they'd already figured out what most of the bracket was going to look like anyways. I just think there's so much parity around college basketball that they have so many teams in the mix. I think there's way more teams in the mix now than what there used to be. And I think the talent gap between an 11 and a 5 seed is so tight right now, tighter than what it's ever been in the past. That's why all this stuff just doesn't look like it makes any sense. So
I think that's what they want you to believe. I don't believe it at all.
That's fair. That's fair. Look, Dayton's resume, like the big pushback I get from Dayton fans that I got a lot of pushback all season on, and they technically weren't wrong. They found enough of the net rankings and all this other stuff. They found enough data points to prove my take wrong. As far as when I say I didn't think that their wins were that impressive, the metrics say otherwise. Now, I don't know how to argue with those metrics because if I'm going to be a metric guy, I want numbers to back up what I'm saying. So, okay, cool. So I just like it. Then it's like, well, the numbers just don't make any sense. By the way, I don't know if I'm willing to say Dayton shouldn't be in the tournament, but I think a 7 seed is just, we laughed when I saw the 7 seed pop up. And I got so many texts from people. They're like, I'm a Flyer fan. And even I thought it was hilarious that we got a 7 seed for how poorly they looked down the stretch. So but again, it was the backhanded compliment. They got the compliment of the 7 seed, but they got the backhand by Nevada being misseeded at 10.
Agreed, but I don't understand why everybody is like, I think Dayton should be in. I don't, when you watch that team play outside of Holmes, and I understand Holmes is a huge draw, and I get
Duran, yeah, I always put him to the side. If I ever criticize Dayton, it ain't criticizing him. That dude's a freaking beast. I'm a big Duran Holmes fan. Yeah.
100%, but move him aside. That team is hot garbage.
Nah, I can't say they're hot garbage.
Hot garbage?
I can't say Dayton's hot garbage. I don't think they're hot garbage.
What?
Mizzou, a team that didn't win a conference game, is hot garbage. A team that
Mizzou didn't win with Dennis Gates. Missouri.
Yeah, they were old
Take
for the
Holmes
conference.
off this team. Take Holmes off this team. They're not winning 12 games, boys. They're not.
I don't think they would be a very good team without Holmes. I agree with you, but the hot
I
garbage
don't necessarily
thing was
think I
aggressive.
don't necessarily think that's fair, because if you take the best player off of any team in college basketball, who are they? Like, I mean,
So what are these teams do? What are these teams doing to stop Dayton over the last month? You're letting Holmes get his, and you're forcing these other players to score the basket. They can't do it.
But to be fair, they're not
Not on
stopping
the
Holmes. Holmes I think his worst game was actually the head-to-head. His worst game of the season was that head-to-head against the King kid who won co-player of the year of the A10. And Duran had 9 points and 7 rebounds or something like that. Like, that was his worst game of the season. So even when teams, all these teams are building their game plan to stop Duran Holmes, and they're still not stopping him. Dayton's just
I don't think they're building them to stop them. They're building it to stop them.
They're not very versatile
I think
either.
what they're going into it. Well, I think what they're going into is like, okay, go let Duran get his 20. Let him go get his double-double.
Well, he's tough to double team because of Brea, because of Elvis, because they have shooters. They have guys that can knock down threes. When that three ball ain't falling for Dayton. Yeah, and that's the thing. So Dayton is constructed oddly because of the shooting percentage. They're one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the country from a field goal percentage standpoint. But when that three's not falling, they become very difficult, or it's very difficult for them to be efficient. The other thing too, Elvis is so inconsistent. They need someone like Santos. They need someone to step up and be more consistent as a number 2. I've always felt bad for Duran because you look back over the years, when you were Kendall Pollard or Charles Cook and you were really good players at Dayton, you had Scoochie to complement you. When you were Obi Toppin, you had Jalen Crutcher. You're Duran Holmes right now, and you don't have that second tier player. You don't have that second punch. That's Dayton's biggest problem. You combine Brea and Elvis and Santos, you combine Cheeks has a big game from time to time. But back when Obi was playing, it was Obi and Crutcher every night. It was obviously Kendall Pollard and Scoochie Smith every single night. Here it's you get Duran every night, but you don't get Cheeks every night. You don't get Brea every night. That's the problem. They are so inconsistent around him. They have that's Dayton's problem. That's why I have no clue what to make of this matchup with Nevada. It's not whether Duran shows up, it's whether everyone else shows up. But I do see your point. I don't think they're hot garbage, but I don't think they're very good outside of Duran Holmes. I'll meet you halfway.
Real quick,
Yeah, go ahead.
Shaw. So why do you think UD is in then? If you think they should be out, then go for
they
it.
have a name. Because they have a name. They host the first 4. They have a name, and they're better. They are better than what they have been over the last 7 years outside of COVID year, but nobody counts COVID year anyway. So over the last 7 years, this is probably quote unquote one of the better teams that they have had.
Yeah.
So they've been propped up, and they played well against LSU, and they played well against Cincinnati, and they played well against teams that kicked their living tail, but they held some of these teams close. So it made it look good. And they have a possible lottery pick in Holmes. So people want to see them, and Dayton's a name. When I watch Dayton play, you take the glitz, you take the glamour away. It's boring basketball, and it's stand around, watch Holmes do his thing, and then if Holmes fumbles the ball, drops the ball, doesn't handle the ball correctly, or if he's just standing outside beyond the 3-point line, then when you put the ball in anybody else's hands and the shot has to be created, the shot cannot be created.
They have guys who are capable of it, but they're not doing it at a high enough clip.
Not only because, you put Dayton and Virginia on the court together, you're talking about a game that's going to be the first one to 40 wins.
Indeed.
But Shaw, we're out of time, man. I appreciate the call.
Got it, man. See it. Go Blue.
You got to get quicker on that drop button, Kinner. We can't have that, man. Cannot have that. This is a Buckeye radio station, sir.
I couldn't let him say they were hot garbage. They're not hot garbage.
No, hot garbage. Come on, man.
Kinner's a hater. I get all that stuff you guys are screaming. Look, Dayton is not hot garbage. I did not agree with that. Not even close. But he was very aggressive with how he stated how bad they are without Duran. That I agree with. I think they are very bad without Duran. But to your point, take the best player off any team. But college basketball is so much more balanced nowadays. Yeah, you take the best player off any team, they're going to take a step back. But like a lot of teams, the really, really good teams have 1A, 1B. Dayton doesn't have a 1B. They just have 1A. And that's where they would take that big drop off. Actually, you almost sometimes wonder too, if Duran's not on the floor, do they play faster? Because you have to play faster because you go smaller and you play with guards. That would, kind of lead to that nonetheless. So Doug Toby, I see Doug's point on this, but my pushback is this. So Doug says UD plays a lot more quad 1 and quad 2 games. Some of these teams play a lot of quad 3 and 4. That's why Indiana State got popped.
Mm-hmm.
They play, they played a lot of good teams in the non-con. But once they get to their conference and you can't help your conference, that's where you get screwed there. So Doug Toby, again, followed it up with these teams you guys are talking about that didn't get in, did not have 3 quad 1 road wins. So, Doug, here's the thing. This is, and I've talked to many, many coaches and many, whether it's ESPN analysts and others and just different people I talked to throughout the college basketball season. The quad system is all that's what's hot garbage. That's what's hot garbage. That's the pushback for Dayton and everyone else that want to use the quad 1 stuff. Like at least basketball has physical, tangible, stats or whatever you want to call it to justify certain things. I bring this up. How do you know what a quad 1 or 2 win is when you're scheduling in April and May? When Anthony Grant's sitting down with Neil Sullivan to put the schedule together, we're going to get a lot of quad 1 and 2s put together in November and December. You don't know. And the net rankings, when those come out to start the season, shouldn't every team start at 0? Shouldn't Wright State and UConn have the same net ranking to start the season because the net ranking is based on those quad 1 elements? So if you haven't played anyone in the quad 1, quad 2, quad 3, quad 4, who gives a rip? How do you get a net ranking? So clearly people are starting it, and this is the argument for college football when it comes to the college football playoff. The rankings come out. Well, did Bowling Green and Alabama start out at the same starting block? No, Alabama's already way up here in the minds of the committee, and that's what's happening in college basketball. So I think that's the hot garbage element. Doug, not your take, not your opinion. It's the pushback to the quad system argument. The net ranking was supposed to come in to help replace the RPI.
Right.
But it's still it's not bulletproof. It's not, a perfect science, if you will.
Yeah, because when you go look at the net rating and you look at Indiana State, theirs is at a 29, and other teams like Virginia's are
56.
In the 56.
Yeah.
Like, so are we doing the net rating or not? Like, if we're just going to do the net rating, let's just go ahead and just dive all the way into it and just go strictly analytical. Then there's nothing to argue about.
Yep.
But when you add that element in there, like, yeah, we do that, and we do the human element. That's what makes people upset. That's what questions. That's why everybody questions, when these polls come out, because of a committee behind closed doors. They're telling you one thing, net rating. You got to get your net rating. Oh yeah, Virginia, you're in there. Yep. Say what? Wait. Yeah, you lost your 4 of your last 6. Wait, what? Huh?
Dayton, by the way, is Nevada is a 1.5 favorite tomorrow.
Now watch Virginia go to the Final Four.
Oh yeah, 16. That's how it works.
In your face, Nash.
Nevada and Dayton, the 7 versus 10 matchup. That'll be Thursday at 4:30. Nevada is a 1.5 favorite according to ESPN Bet. So there you go. Interesting stuff there. Like right now, I like Nevada in this. My mind can change as we get closer, as far as that's concerned. But we'll talk about the odds and all that stuff as we get closer. I hate that they took out the prop bets for the, in Ohio and all that stuff for the in-game parlays. I mean, my goodness, nonetheless. But a lot of good games on Thursday. The very first game on Thursday. Thursday everyone's getting sick and getting COVID and getting all this stuff to call off work. Michigan State, Mississippi State. That'll be the first game to tip it all off on Thursday. Duquesne and BYU in the 11 versus 6. Akron, Creighton. I like that 14-3 matchup. Akron and Creighton could be interesting. Long Beach State and Arizona. Yawn. That's the winner of that game goes on to face the winner between Nevada and Dayton. So, a lot of other headlines. Kev Nash is just draped in his Steelers gear, by the way. He loves what the Steelers did over the weekend. It's still a lot of college basketball talk. Still, we got to do the women's side. Ohio State announces Jake Diebler as their new head coach. Introductory press conference earlier today. We have his contract, and it's the detailed, itemized contract of all the bonuses and what he's getting paid, all this stuff. It's fascinating stuff. No, really, it is. I'm always fascinated to see what the bonuses are and the structure and how that. Who cares about the base salary? It's like $2.5 million. Ohio State, you could do better than $2.5 million. I'm just saying, but a lot of incentives. What are you working? Radio sales? I mean, come on. My goodness. It's the Kinner Kev Show, 1410 ESPN Radio. 518-1410 is the number to call and jump in on the conversation. We'll be right back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
Our forecast is calling for scattered snow showers, then mostly clear and 26 tonight. Partly sunny, breezy, 52 tomorrow. Sunny and 49 Wednesday. I'm Rick Shrimp for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Did you know that looking at the world from a new perspective might make sense, but not when you're in your car? Make sure your vehicle's up to date, including your tires, so you don't end up looking at things upside down. Come see us at Carroll Works Tire. Bald can be beautiful, but not when it comes to your tires. Low, or worse, no tread on your tires is dangerous. It makes it harder for your vehicle to stop, leaving you prone to accidents. Come see us at Carroll Works Tire.
I lock up my Old Spice Fiji aluminum-free dry spray to keep that 24/7 lasting freshness safe for myself. Fresh coconuts, palm trees in the wind. It's like catching waves in Fiji. Actually, I just talked myself into a refreshing spritz of Fiji. My Old Spice is missing! No!
Progressive presents good news, bad news, dumb news, then great news. Good news. While leaning over the fence, your neighbor said you could save money bundling home and auto insurance with Progressive. Bad news. Your neighbor leaned over a little too much and broke your fence. Dumb news. Somehow fence wood is more expensive than wood. Great news. You decide to see if you could save money bundling at Progressive.com and to plant really tall shrubs. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
Frickers tips off the season with a trio of fan favorites. Frickers Street Tacos are back for a limited time. While you enjoy the march to the national championship of college basketball on Frickers TVs, you'll savor the flavor of 3 Frickers Street Tacos. Frickin' Chicken Tacos, Grilled Chicken Tacos, and Mississippi Barbecue Tacos are back for a limited time. While your brackets get busted, smash a personal picture of domestic draft for only $6.99. Hurry before time runs out at the home for fun, food, sports, and spirits, Frickers.
I'm Terry Krupp of Laird's Tax and Accounting, serving this area's tax and accounting needs for over 80 years. Tax season is here. We invite you to discover how we can make your tax filing experience easier. Our professional staff assures your return is accurate with maximum use of legitimate deductions. Since our founding, we have been trusted because of our knowledge of the tax code and for standing behind your return if the IRS calls. Contact us at 937-325-6571. Information at lairdstax.com.
Cordell Transportation has more advantages than ever before, including brand new equipment. That's right, plus excellent pay, benefits, and a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Apply now at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
My name is Chris Epley, the presiding and administrative judge on the Ohio 2nd District Court of Appeals. Prior to being elected, I spent most of my career in the trial court, the appellate court, and teaching appellate law to UD law students. I was born, raised, and married in Dayton, and my family is active in the community and volunteering. It's been an honor serving the 6 counties that make up our court. I'm on the ballot again March 19th, and I ask for your vote, Chris Epley for Court of Appeals. Paid for by Epley for Court of Appeals.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
Have you heard? Bath Creations has moved to their new location and showroom at 8741 North Kimmel Road in Clayton. This gives you even more opportunity to see the incredible amenities and craftsmanship Bath Creation offers. With Bath Creations, you get a beautiful, modern bathroom that is safe, comfortable, and affordable. Attention first responders, veterans, and active military. Save an additional $500 off your purchase. Visit at 8741 North Kimmel Road in Clayton or online at mybathcreations.com and get a new bath today.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
What makes you so different than the rest of us?
We ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Tell me more.
Our investment counselors focus on service over sales, prioritizing clients' needs.
How do you make money?
We don't sell any commission-based products. We have a simple management fee based on the value of our client's portfolio. So we do better when our clients do better.
What about client portfolios?
We get to know each client, their finances, family, health, lifestyle, and more, and then we tailor a portfolio based on their specific goals and needs.
Your clients really come first then, huh?
Yes, we make them a top priority. Our goal is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement.
Wow, maybe we are different.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save nearly $750 on average. Call or click today and find out if they could save you hundreds on your car insurance.
When it comes to tax season, we generally see two different scenarios. Situation one, do your taxes yourself.
Oh, $1,400? Oh,
Situation number two, we do your taxes for you.
I'm getting back $1,400? Oh,
See, we can save you money. Take a little back this year.
Arrowhead Tax Service will help you save money. 113 West Jefferson Street in New Carlisle. All new clients save 10%. Online at arrowheadtaxservice.com.
Hungry for a great time? Maybe some great food? Then come on down to your neighborhood Submarine House. Try our oven-toasted deli subs, our mouth-watering salads, pizzas, appetizers, and more. And wash them down with a unique selection of craft beers while watching the big game on our big screens. With locations around Dayton, in Columbus, and our newest sports bar in Kettering, you're never far from a Submarine House. Subs, sports, spirits. Submarine House.
The very best high-quality used car selection in the area is found at Chevrolet of Troy. Local, late-model, pre-owned vehicles that are ready to move. All used cars come with a no-charge warranty. That's incredible. This is a quality, hand-picked inventory ready for you to shop today. Check out our digital storefront right now at ChevroletofTroy.com. Chevrolet of Troy has the vehicle of your choice at our full-service premium dealership. We are proud to be your best choice for your next used vehicle purchase. 1375 South Market Street in Troy.
On March 19th, vote Jacqueline Gaines for the role of domestic relations judge in the Republican primary. With 19 years of dedicated service as a litigation attorney, full-time magistrate, and mother in Montgomery County, Gaines brings a wealth of experience to the table. Gaines has consistently exhibited a fair, balanced, and well-reasoned temperament, always approaching cases with empathy and respect for all parties involved. Gaines' track record includes handling complex cases efficiently, all while delivering timely and comprehensible decisions. Gaines is well prepared to step into the role with a deep understanding of the job. Because Gaines had been a full-time domestic relations magistrate for 13 years, Gaines is ready to assist magistrates with guidance when needed and has earned the distinction of being a 2-time fellowship award winner. Make your voice count on March 19th and vote for Jacqueline Gaines, the experienced candidate committed to bringing effective and compassionate leadership to the family court. Paid for by the committee to elect Jacqueline Gaines.
It's the Kinner and Kev Show here on a Monday. Hope everybody had a great weekend. How could you not have had a great weekend? It's 7 years since the last time Dayton heard their name mentioned on Selection Sunday, of course. Dayton, the 7th seed. They'll take on 10 seed Nevada coming up on Thursday. NCAA tournament action coming up on Thursday, 4:30. The tip-off there, as we talked about, according to ESPN Bet. Nevada, a 1.5 favorite. That's going to be a close one coming up on Thursday, Kevin.
Indeed. It's going to be a tight one. You and I differ about UD's path, to make a deep run in this. Excuse me.
So you're allergic to being wrong, apparently. No.
I just think this bracket, this West, is pretty tough. I mean, with Nevada being underseeded, potentially playing Arizona in the second round, the multiple bigs that have at Arizona, the bigs that have at Clemson and at Baylor. I mean, if you make it out of there, you're probably going to play North Carolina. North Carolina has a whole bunch of bigs. I think this West region is tough, very tough. I think, to be perfectly honest, I think it's the toughest.
Really? See,
Yeah.
It's like, I think it's just because I'm falling for the brand trap. If Dayton beats Nevada, they play Arizona. If they beat Arizona, you play Clemson. Like it's not, they're not playing the beasts throughout college basketball. It's where I'm looking at the 7 seed for some of these others. Right away, Washington State, the 7 seed, if they beat Drake, they have to play on Iowa State. Then you run into Illinois. And then, I'm looking at the other 7 seed above them. Where are they at? Oh, sorry. Here's the other one, Texas. Run into Tennessee right off the bat. Then you got to run into Creighton. I guess the Midwest isn't the worst one. West isn't. I just think Dayton's. It's friendly. I think Nevada's a friendly opening round opponent for them. Let's just put it that way. Even though Nevada was misseeded, even though that's about as good of a matchup as you could potentially get. But let's look at the other 10 seeds that Dayton could have potentially. I guess if we want to look at it that way, Nevada. So Texas, the 7 seed, they got to play Virginia or Colorado State, the winner of the first 4 tomorrow.
That's always dangerous. I don't want to play somebody that's already got a game underneath their belt.
Yep. Let's see. Colorado or Boise is who Florida will play. Another, that's the 7 seed that'll take on the winner of that one coming out of the first 4.
And all the experience Boise has playing in the first 4, and Florida is already down one of their starters because of the broken ankle. Like, that's not a spot that I want to be in if I'm Florida.
Well, put it this way. I'll change this. I think that Dayton has the toughest 10 seed matchup. Their region is not the toughest, in my opinion. You think it is. That's fine. So, but like Washington State has to, if Dayton had to play Drake, advantage Dayton. Right?
Really?
I mean, that's not. I'm not throwing Drake under the bus. What up, Drake? See you, Drake. But none. You know what I mean? Like, I think Dayton fans would fear Drake less. I think that they would fear Virginia or Colorado State less. I think that they would fear, Boise or Colorado less. I think that Nevada is the toughest of all the 10 seeds that Dayton could have faced in the 7 versus 10. I just like if you get past Nevada, it's cleaner around that from my standpoint. But
if I was Washington State, I would be terrified of Drake. I think they have potentially a player that's going to be playing in the association. Tucker DeVeris, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly. He's a 6'7" shooting guard, emphasis on shooting. He's going for 23 a game. Like, those type of players at the mid-major level, they don't come around all the time. I mean, what you got, Doug McDermott. I mean, you can talk about what he did in the NBA all you want. He was a killer. He was a killer in college. You want to talk about Kyle Korver, killer in college. And Korver had a good NBA career as well. Like, he's on that type of level of shooting. So I don't want to mess with it. Like, a small guy shooting, fine. And UD has bigger guards that they can rotate and everything like that. But when a dude is 6'7", knocking down 3-pointers, I don't like that. So I'm glad UD is not playing Drake. Drake is a team that I would be terrified of if I'm Washington State. And matter of fact, if I'm Iowa State, even though they did win the Big 12 tournament title.
Tomorrow night, while first 4 actions going on at UD Arena, we are Dayton's radio home for not just Wright State basketball, but Ohio State basketball as well. Right. The Buckeyes in the NIT, they introduced Jake Diebler as their new head coach earlier today. Jake Diebler's Buckeyes, 20-13 on the season, 13-4 at home. They will welcome in Cornell. Ever heard of them? Going to take on Cornell in the NIT tournament. Shout out to Andy Bernard, our office reference right there. But Ohio State and Cornell, Ohio State the 2 seed in the NIT, Kev. The NIT worries me for them because they're a team that I almost thought should have probably just said, yeah, we're done for the year. Like, we had a coaching change. We just introduced them. We just want to end on the hot streak of the perception of the hot finish to the season, right? They won 6 of their final 8. Now, although your season technically would have ended on a loss against Illinois and what many deemed to blame the officials, Ohio State now is going to go lose to not like their final game, their final loss technically was against a top 25 Illinois team in the in the Big Ten tournament when many people thought that they should have won, but the officials got, they hosed them. There's momentum. Now you risk losing to Cornell. Now you risk losing to a lesser than respected opponent in the NIT. And I think that kind of it fizzles out some of the aura that has been kind of built with Jake Diebler taking over at Ohio State. That's what's interesting.
I totally understand where you're coming from, but
win it. They got to win it.
Championship game.
Indiana State, Ohio State. I haven't looked at the bracket.
They are on opposite sides.
I would love that. That's my dream. And dream. Oh my gosh, yawn. I can't believe we're getting this passionate about the NIT. It'll be appointment watch listening for me if Indiana State and Ohio State meet in the NIT championship.
So for lack of a better word, because I don't know how the NIT bracket is like regionalized or whatever, if that's a word, Ohio State is the 2 seed on the left. Indiana State is the 1 seed on the right. So they can meet in the championship game. That is the game that I want to see. I know for sure Ohio State wants to be there. I'm not sure about anybody else on this list. I mean, you're looking at some teams like North Texas who are 18-14. You're looking at LSU 17-15. Like, are they just simply going out there because, hey, man, coach said we got to play and let's go get a check for the university or whatever? Like, why are these other teams out here playing in this tournament? So it's really all about who really wants to be here and who's going to play to win. Are they going to go through the motions? I'm sure a lot of teams are going to go through the motions. I remember what year was it? It was Kentucky, the year Willie Cauley-Stein was there.
Oh, yeah.
They played, I want to say Robert Morris, if I'm not mistaken. At Robert Morris, and they lost.
Yep.
They lost because they didn't want to be there. So I'm sensing a lot of that. And shoot, from the Ohio State perspective, hey, if they don't want to be there, run them off the court. Blow them out. Go ahead and get you a ring.
There was the year that Dayton made the NIT when Wright State made the NCAA tournament where there was talk of Dayton maybe not partaking in the NIT tournament because they wouldn't be able to host.
Mm-hmm.
And that's every time Dayton is in trouble of making the NIT, they usually have to hit the road because they can't host. And there was talks of Dayton potentially having to go to Toledo to play and all this stuff.
Because the tournament is here, duh.
Now, Dayton playing at Toledo is not the same as Kentucky playing at Robert Morris, but Robert Morris getting a Kentucky, getting an actual brand, like Dayton playing at Toledo, that's whatever. I mean, I know they're afraid to play on the road against Ohio opponents, blah, 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 not Cincinnati, but you see what I mean. So with this, that was wild. And that's one reason why, I mean, Kentucky going on the road to play at Robert Morris and not even the new awesome kick-ass arena that they have right now.
Oh,
Robert Morris has the best mid-major arena in the country. It is freaking fantastic. It is Truist Arena over Northern Kentucky is pretty good too. But I mean, there's some good teams in this NIT. Villanova's, 18-15. But I mean, I'm just saying, like, as far as the brand, VCU's in this. My team Richmond. Richmond. I'm going for Richmond in this one outside of Ohio State and Indiana State. But yeah, Indiana State can run into Butler in the second round there. Thad Matta in Butler. John Diebler is the assistant, one of the assistants on that. I wonder if John joins Jake at Ohio State next year.
Come on home.
It sounds like Dockich's son, who was an assistant at Ohio State years ago, was going to be joining Diebler's staff over there.
Okay.
So interesting nonetheless.
Very.
But all right, so Kinner and Kev Show here on 1410 ESPN Radio. LeBron James and JJ Redick, Kev, are teaming up to host a podcast called Mind the Game. The premise of the podcast is to have a pure conversation about basketball, according to The Athletic. Yes. You were all geeking about this a little bit ago.
Yes, this is right up my alley. This isn't, hey man, who's better at this? Who's the GOAT? Who's the best point guard of all time? Give me your top 5 this, your top 5 that. It is nerding out about basketball. I saw a clip and them talking about, inbounds plays. And JJ Redick's eyes got huge and they started talking about, like, well, why do we've been taught to do it this way all this time? I always thought about doing it like this. And they start drawing it up right there on the spot. I nerded out. I'm going to love this podcast. This is strictly for me. This podcast is going to do horrible numbers because people are going to tune into it because it's LeBron James and JJ Redick, because JJ has a great podcast. And obviously LeBron James doing a podcast. People are going to tune in and they're like, oh, they're talking X's and O's. I'm out. But guess who's going to listen to it? Me.
No. And first of all, podcasts are perfect for this type of content because what JJ Redick, as much as I always praise JJ. I love him when he goes on First Take and gives it back to Stephen A and all this stuff. The only thing that JJ pisses me off with is when he does this whole, he bashes the debate format, but you chose to go on the debate show and then bitch about the debate format. Don't go on the debate format. Don't go on First Take. Go do this. But at the same time, he got mad because of how people's minds are wired. He could do a whole breakdown about an inbounds play or something and get a couple thousand views. He can go in and give his opinion on Doc Rivers, and it gets 500 million views. And he was mad at that. But I'm like, you can't be mad at that. That's how that's the content that people want. That's like McDonald's only offering salads, and then people stop going to McDonald's. And well, what the hell? I offer a salad, no one comes here. I offer a greasy, unhealthy burger, and there's a line out the door. Yes, that's called knowing your audience. So JJ Redick, know your audience. You're going to have an audience in Kev, and there's going to be there's a select audience that's going to like that. But that's why the podcast is great. Build a podcast for that direct audience. You'll be fine. But don't go on First Take and complain because people want drama when they tune into First Take. That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever as far as that's concerned. But that's not the only podcast that's coming out, Kev.
There's more.
There is.
Talk to me.
According to TMZ Sports, how about this?
Okay.
Lamar Odom and Caitlyn Jenner are going to be pairing up for a podcast.
Podcasts are dead.
I mean, who would you rather? Do you want to hear JJ Redick and LeBron talk about an inbounds pass, or do you want to talk about two former members of whatever the Kardashian show was called? I mean, come on. I could think of some really great titles for Lamar Odom and Caitlyn Kardashian, Caitlyn Jenner. Did I say Clark earlier?
Yes.
I think I said Caitlyn Clark. My apologies. Caitlyn Jenner and Lamar Odom. I said Caitlyn Clark. I'm so sorry, Caitlyn Clark. I'm so sorry. I apologize.
This, unlike JJ and LeBron's podcast, that one's going to do crazy numbers.
Yeah. What was that? That voice
Puberty.
cracked.
13 again.
But Lamar Odom and Caitlyn Jenner, I wonder what I said. Caitlyn Clark. That is so stupid. I was all excited to talk about that podcast with you. I knew Kev was going to love the LeBron and JJ one. I'm like, oh, yeah, I got a podcast that'll trump that one. How about this? Caitlyn Jenner and Lamar Odom. Speaking of Trump, I was driving home over the weekend, and my God, there were so many merch tents just popped up everywhere. I'm like, what is going on? I forgot. Our guy Trump, he was in town.
Yeah.
Our guy Trump, he was in town,
Our guy.
Hair flapping in the wind.
Had some things to say about the Cleveland Guardians.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Did he call them the Guardians?
What do you think?
No, he couldn't call them the Guardians. It's
I'll pull the audio tomorrow.
You know what I'm going to yell at Trump? Stick to politics. Isn't that the rules?
Rules are the rules.
No, but that was funny. I kept trying to figure out why these merch tents were popping up everywhere. But then, then I remembered he was coming to town nonetheless. But this year's political season is going to be in full swing here before too long.
Get ready.
I mean, I might have to make like a political ad promo for the show. I'm Justin Kinner, and I approve this message. Followed by, I'm Kev Nash, and I do not. Kinner and Kev, 1410 ESPN Radio. We got a lot of stuff to talk about with Jeff Hoagland, board member for the Big Hoopla, the organizing committee that brings us the first four every year. Going to talk about that. He's going to join us coming up in hour number 3. More reaction to Dayton, the 7th seed, and the rest of the tournament field nonetheless. It's the Kinner and Kev Show, 1410 ESPN Radio.